Hello, and welcome to the Argyle CIO Leadership Forum Data Innovation 2024. My name is Vicki Lynn Brunskill with Argyle. It's great to have everyone joining us today. Just a couple of notes before I turn things over to our esteemed speaker for this session. First, a quick reminder to stop by our sponsors' virtual booths at any time during today's event and for the following week. Our partners are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience today. At any time during the event, you can visit their virtual booths from the main agenda page, and those do include complimentary materials, information, and throughout today's event, you'll also have the opportunity to win a prize. So please do check out the prizes and raffle rules tab in the interface. To ask questions throughout this session, simply type into the Q&A chat and we will address your questions at the end of the session. And now without any further delay, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Vikram Gupta, Senior Director of Product Management at Cohesity. We are so excited to have Vikram with us for a thought leadership presentation titled, Have a Conversation with Your Data. Untapping Organizational Knowledge from Your Data with GenAI. Welcome, Vikram, and over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So today I think we have a very exciting information that I'd love to share how we are working at Cohesity to leverage GenAI specifically and offer various different types of insights into the data. And more importantly, with the advent of ChatGPT and large language models, how we can combine all of these technologies and actually help give you an ability to talk to your data. So what I'm going to do is just quickly touch upon a little bit about Cohesity. If you don't know, Cohesity is an enterprise software company where we provide software to our enterprise customers of all different kinds. We have been out for 10 years, and as you can see here, we have around 4,300 customers, large enterprises, and predominantly most of the Fortune 500s that use our platform. We have some of the largest organizations in Fortune 10, Fortune 100 that leverage our platform to protect their data. Again, I think as you can see here, lots of banks, federal and government organization and partners that are helping us spread the software as well. At the highest level, I think what Cohesity is trying to do is help our end customers, CIOs and IT organizations to protect, secure, and provide insights into their data. As I mentioned, we have some of the largest organizations on the planet who leverage our platform to gain business resilience and security for their data. And we achieve that mission by doing various different things. Again, I think as you can see here, some of the known customers out there are leveraging our platform to protect the data as well. So what do we do, right? At the highest level, I think if you look at what Cohesity platform provides is an ability to protect your data. So we have various different ways by which we can connect to your primary data sources and create a copy of the data, right? Your classic backups and cyber resiliency aspects as well. We also have a suite of products that provide security, especially around ransomware protection, threat identification, and data classification. We have a suite of technologies that also provide you to help move the data or mobilize the data, either across your data centers or from your data center to the public cloud, or within multiple public clouds, depending on your choice. We also have a suite of products that provide you ability to access the data that you have brought into this Cohesity Data Cloud. And what we're going to talk about today is about data insights, like how you can actually have a conversation with the data that you have basically brought into the Cohesity Data Cloud. That could either be on your data center or in the cloud of your choice. Our secret sauce is around simplicity, scalability, security. Our product has AI ML inbuilt from day one, and it's extremely extensible by way of adding various different partner products that integrate with it to expand on its value. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is switch gears very quickly, and we're not going to talk about how we protect the data on our platform or how we get the data on our platform. What we're going to do is actually talk about how we are leveraging generative AI and to actually tap into that information or the data that you've stored on our platform to have an interaction with it, right? Or get business insights into it. Before I begin, I think there are different ways of classifying AI. I've taken a stab at depending on how the response is generated. How do you use and classify some of these AI technologies? So we look at it in four different categories. The first category is what we refer to as the retrieval AI. This is the classic AI models whose primary job is to retrieve the information using various different technologies like semantic search and things like that. Generative AI, on the other hand, is the next step forward, which is based on the information that has been retrieved using some of these AI models. Can you actually produce original content, which it could be, let's say, summaries. ChatGPT is a classic case of generative AI models where it took all the internet's data, and now you can ask questions and it generates the answers based on that information. What we are doing here is RAG AI. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, and you hear me talk about this word or this acronym. Retrieval Augmented Generation is basically the best of retrieval AI and generative AI. Imagine a world where you could use retrieval AI on the data or your data that's sitting on Cohesity Data Platform, but then connect and add generative AI capabilities so that you can have a ChatGPT like experience, but it is completely contained and designed to work on the data that you have created in your enterprise. Right? It has no knowledge of the data that is sitting outside the enterprise, but it is primarily focused on the data that you're storing. And obviously the cognitive AI is the epitome where it is truly reflecting the human cognitive capabilities. We are not there yet. I think today machines are still are not capable of doing what human brains can do, especially like perception, reasoning, problem solving, decision making, and things like that, right? So we have solved a certain portion of that capabilities, but as we progress over the next decade, we might see advancement in that category as well. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about RAG AI and how we leverage RAG AI to give you these benefits. So at the simplest level, what we are doing with retrieval augmented generation is giving you that ChatGPT like experience. And how it works is you basically have a chat interface, just like ChatGPT, where you can ask questions and get answers. But before you can get answers, retrieval augmented generation, what it does is it does the first piece, which is the retrieval part. And it does the retrieval part by searching the data within Cohesity Data Platform. Now, your Cohesity Data Platform would only store the information that you have ingested into it, and it focuses on that information. Once it has retrieved the relevant information using retrieval AI, it actually leverages the large language models like OpenAI, GPT 4.0 Omni, or GPT 3.5 Turbo. So this is where the magic starts to happen, right? But once you have done the retrieval part in step two, we actually use those results from that step two and then leverage the language models from OpenAI to connect that information. And then finally, after going through the generative AI piece, the RAG AI assistant produces these rich context rich answers. And what you can and the reason why this is extremely beneficial is because I think imagine a world where you have, let's say, lots of different systems in which the data is spread, and you actually are looking for an answer to a question. In today's world, what you have to do is, let's say, go into all of these systems, fetch the information. Um, then most likely you're using a keyword based search mechanism, right? So for example, if I wanted to find out how many moons does Jupiter have, right? So you need to go and look for all relevant information in all relevant systems, and then potentially have a an algorithm by which you are searching for various different words. Now what happens is when you're doing keyword based search, you're only looking for those exact keywords, and you actually need to know the keywords before you can get a relevant information, right? uh, and then finally, once you have gotten all those documents, and you have gotten all the results from that keyword, you have to manually understand the results, and then finally create the summary, or the answer that you are looking for, right? So what happens is the whole process can actually become extremely manual, and extremely slow, right? If I had, let's say, 10 documents of 100 pages, hundreds of pages, to find the answer, I may have to spend hours, because I have to first read the information, then I have to search for the relevant information that pertains to the question, and then finally create the summary, to answer that question, right? Um, Whereas I think with the retrieval augment generation, what is possible today is, so number one, you get all that information in one single place, because once you have used the Cohesity Data Cloud to ingest and back up all your information, you basically automatically created a one single location, where all the information is centrally located. Second, we use semantic search or intent-based search mechanisms rather than keyword-based mechanisms. This is where the retrieval AI piece comes in. So we extract all the information, and then we create what we call as embeddings and vectorization of the data to understand the intent behind the question. The simplest example is, let's say I was looking for all the documents that have mentions of pets. Generally, now, the intent behind this question is that you're looking for documents which talks about dogs, cats, parrots, horses, and things like that. But if you're using a keyword search, and then none of these documents have the word pet in it, your answers actually will be very limited, right? So semantic based search, what it does is it understands the meaning behind a question, and then it looks for all the documents. So it will actually return the results that actually have words like horse, cat, mouse, and horse, right? So your searches become extremely rich and relevant. And then finally, when you use this whole retrieval augmented generation pipeline, it reduces your time to answer. So if I was looking for, hey, can you tell me all the documents that talk about pets? It has understood, it has searched all the documents, because they were all from disparate systems. It has understood the meaning of it. It has done the semantic search on it, and then finally, pulled together an answer, using generative AI, for the question that was asked, right? And the result is that it's extremely fast and it's extremely relevant, right? So you go from a manual and a slow environment to a very rapid and a relevant environment. So let me talk a little bit about how we do all of that, on Cohesity Gaia, right? So think of it as a system or an information retrieval system where once all the data arrives on the Cohesity Data Cloud, you now have a way to a chat GPT like interface onto that system, right? We are As the data is being arriving into the system, we continuously index the data, and once that indexing is complete, you actually now have a very simple way, a portal by which you can go and ask questions and get answers, right? So chat GPT like interface or an experience, but only on your data rather than public data. Here is an example of that interface. It's very simple. It's designed to be very Apple-like, with a minimal complexity. As you can see here at the bottom, you have a question answer bar where you can ask questions. So for example here is I've indexed some medical data, and then I'm asking hey, can you find possible patient names and their treatment plans that were exposed externally in the last 120 days. And as you can see here, we are giving giving an answer, which is using generative AI. It's a generated answer, which says that I found possible patient statements, and here are the three emails in which we found it, right? Behind the scenes, what we have done here is we have indexed all the emails, and once the emails have been indexed, then you have actually come here and asked the question, and the system is able to retrieve all the emails, and search through all those emails that contained, like, for example, possible ways by which they were exposed to external parties. For example, it went to a Gmail account or a Hotmail account, or it was not the, like, the corporate email address, and things like that, right? And now you can also have follow-up questions behind it and start, like, understanding and exploring the information that, like, we're talking about over here. So as you can see here, it's very simple conversational interface. Uses our retrieval AI or AI powered search. So, like, it understands the meaning behind your questions. It parses your question maybe in multiple parts, and then try to understand what the answer could be, and then finally gives you a context rich answer. And context rich answer here means is it's relevant to your enterprise, right? So we were able to look at the emails that were backed up, and then able to open up those emails and look for that answer. There's a lot of security built into this, so that, not anybody can go and access this information. We have role-based controls that, like, you can set up when you go into settings, and then you also get to choose what you want to index. The system doesn't automatically, like, index all the information, but waits for the administrators or the security team to tell us, like, what it should index, depending on the use case. Okay. Um, Now I'll give you a very, like, high level under the hood, like, how all of this magic is actually happening, and it's very similar to, like, what OpenAI and Microsoft and other partners are doing. But again, all of that information is in the public cloud, whereas what we are providing is the similar experience, but focused on the data of your enterprise. So on the left hand side, as you can see, we have all the unstructured data in our backups. It could be OneDrives, or your emails and PowerPoints and PDFs and things like that. And very soon we will also add databases and other capabilities in the system as well. But right now we are, like, focusing on unstructured data, because again, finding information within these files is extremely hard, and because it's not structured, right? Think, like, hundreds and millions of emails and attachments to it, or, like, million PDFs, where the information could be, like, stored in various different systems. So what we do internally is, like, a classic, like, retrieval augmented generation pipeline. And so let's say on the top you're asking that question that we just talked about. uh, so before, obviously, you have asked the question, we do what we call as an ingest phase, where you point Gaia to, like, to this unstructured data, as I mentioned, and it goes and extracts the information and keeps it up to date. When in this extraction process, we extract the text out of it so that we can understand, like, the meaning behind it. Then we create an index. It's uses encoding and embedding, like, various different methods by which you can create a semantic index, right? So when I said pets, like, all the paragraphs and text which under has the words horses and cats and parrots would automatically, like, start becoming semantically more closer, or semantically more related, right? So when you ask the question about show me all the documents which talks about pets, it automatically figures out, what are the right context or right data points that it should use. Then when you ask a question, right, I talked about we retrieve the relevant information, right? So there's a whole set of algorithms that look for related and relevant portions of information, and then figure out, like, their importance to the question that was asked. And then finally, like, we take all of that together and then create a summarized answer that you just saw in the previous slide. And then we provide the citations so that you can understand where this information was pulled. This is where we use large language models from the level. Currently, Gaia supports Azure GPT 3.5 Turbo and 4.0, depending on, like, how you want the answers. Um, so we leverage these LLMs to create those generative AI answers that you just saw, right? So it's in this whole nutshell, you can see how the pipeline works. It's all behind the scenes from a customer perspective, or from your company perspective. The All you have to do is, like, point the data to the point Gaia to the data sets, and then it automatically goes and does the indexing and gives you question and answers. Okay. Um, So at the end of the day, I think what you can see here is that there are a few benefits that you can get when you're leveraging a technology like this, right? So number one, you can is around decision making, speed and accuracy, right? So when you're looking for answers to certain questions for your employees, for your teams, they don't have to now spend hours and days finding information, right? Gone are the days when you have to do your classic keyword-based searches, right? You can now do more intelligent, relevant, and rich uh, searching for information using this platform. Second, obviously, I think most of the companies are looking for different ways to leverage AI within their enterprise. So you now have a way to have a very secure, highly performant AI engine that actually can be leveraged to initiate to give you those initiatives satisfied. And then finally, as I mentioned, all of this is strictly governed and offered in a environment where you can control who sees what information, so you can responsibly and securely provide a search mechanism where your teams or your departments can search for this information across different silos. Obviously, very common questions a lot of our customers ask as to where we can use this technology. It's a very horizontal technology. What we have built is a way to understand text, so it actually doesn't matter is it if it's in the medical field or if it's in the government field or if it's in a banking sector, right? It depends on the text that you provide, and it goes, and hence you can see all different types of use cases that it can actually be leveraged. We have customers who are using it for um, quality assurance. We have customers who are using it for knowledge management. We have customers using for IT support or just enterprise search within their organization. Um, so at the end of the day, what it's doing is helping you combine all of that information into one single location and then provide a very simple way to extract insights from that information. Okay. So I think with that, I'm going to stop talking and then probably look at some of the questions that are coming over the chat. Um, and if you haven't submitted, please feel free to submit it, and I'll take it from there. Vicky, if you have any questions for me, I can take it up right now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. What an excellent thought leadership presentation. Yeah, we do have some questions. We also have a couple of comments that you might want to comment
Sure.
on yourself. Mary asked or said, all of this should help with financial metrics as well. Faster and more accurate days will, I think they meant data, will allow for better planning and analysis.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have customers who are taking we had a customer who took 15 years of financial 10Ks, and they were analyzing that data. And each of those 10K was 500 pages, and they actually just wanted to find some simple information that one of this CFOs asked. And it would have taken them a week to capture that information, right? Because you have to go through all those 15 years of 10Ks. And with Gaia, they were able to actually go and just ask the question, right? Remember, it's all natural language, right? We now have a way by which we can ask that question that we all as humans have in our natural English language, and then get answers in natural language, right? Which was not possible earlier. Okay.
Yes, thank you for that. And the other comment that I thought was interesting is Sean commented, the biggest power is that so much of what we do is repetitive.
Oh, exactly. I think you hit it on the nail. There's so many mundane tasks, right? They are just over and over again. I think a lot of times, I think I call this classic, we're just looking for quick answers, right? And that question may come up every day, every week, and going and spending all the time again and again can actually be eliminated. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And then we have a question. Cohesity does so much and does it well. But Cohesity does so much. What do you see as your primary function?
So I think, as I said, I think so. The best way to answer is so it's more three prong, right? So when you saw our mission, right? So we do data management, at the end of the day in a very secure fashion, right? So data management comes in various different angles, right? One could be, hey, I wanted to make sure it's secure, it's backed up, and it's protected. But looking for insights is also data management, right? Because now you have to collect all this information and then extract it. So we are still true to our vision where we want to make sure that we can protect our customers' data, and help them in managing the data, right? So and when we have different ways by which we help our customers. Insights is the latest entry. Our Act One was data protection, Act Two was security, and now Act Three is insights.
Thank you. The next question I see is there a standard set of proof of concept questions you could ask AI?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, but it all depends on what the system is trained on, right? Like a ChatGPT, it's the classic, simplest thing I say is it has read up all your internet, blogs, and so you can ask questions that are on a specific topic. But again, it all depends on how and what it is being trained on, right? And we are focusing on enterprise data, so we help customers go and ask questions that are relevant to their environment and the data that they have provided indexed. um, but I think going back to the question that you mentioned, right? The way to answer ask AI questions is very much like how we actually interact with kids, right? We try to be, rather than asking them vague questions and waiting for a response. You get very high results when you are very prescriptive, very detailed, very concise, and to the point, right? Then AI becomes very sharp and it knows what to look for. When you ask, hey, what's the weather? It doesn't understand what you are actually trying to say, right? If you said, hey, what's the weather in San Francisco at 2 p.m., it's very simple, it's very concise, it's very accurate, to the point of what you're asking, and then AI becomes can actually decipher that and then give you a much more concise answer, right? So your quality of answer depends on the quality of question, right? So hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, Vikram. I see. Let me just, this question is, does this layer on top of any backup tool or work better with specific vendors?
So today, what Gaia works on, obviously, all the data that is on backed up by Cohesity. We are actually working on in the next, I would say, a few months. We are actually going to open up Gaia to talk to our third-party backups as well. Very soon, we'll be opening up for Veritas backups. Then I think we are also going and talking directly to the primary sources. So, for example, all your storage systems, OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, and things like that, right? So our goal is once we have built this gray box, now it's all about writing those connectors, because we have done and built that whole common platform. Now it's all about writing these connectors and extracting the information. Okay.
I think we have time for just one more question. Does it have the ability to search for data types for compliance?
I'm not sure if I'm understanding different types, but think text. And so, for example, if it has, let's say, a bunch of PDFs, so we understand what's inside those PDFs. And we right now focus on text. If you're asking types of compliance and tagging, we don't understand images just yet. The multimodality will come soon. I think we are still trying to build those capabilities, but we understand text. So if your documents have text and they have of type compliance, then yes, we are able to understand that.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're out of time and we keep getting questions, but we'll make sure we get those over to you, Vikram.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That was an incredible thought leadership presentation. We're so happy to have you here. I want to thank everyone for joining us for this session. And this session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event. And as a reminder, please do and raffle rules section to see how you can earn points to win a prize. And our next session will begin after the break at 1:30 Eastern Time, and that will be a thought leadership titled Unlocking the Power of AI, Integrating Data Management for Enhanced Enterprise Strategies. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you again, Vikram.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.